what does a normal day of a Microsoft employee looks like? So what does the career progression looks like in this particular domain, and how do you climb up the ladder? So how was the internship like with Microsoft, and how did you step your foot inside the door?
And that's what software engineering wants you to have.
Okay.
And trust me, when things were offline, things were 200% difficult. So we don't generally code the whole day. So this is one of the major myths that students used to have.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of us want to work in different FAANG companies, but only few get the opportunity to work at FAANG companies. FAANG companies have their own benefits to work at. The good culture is there, the vibe is there, you get like-minded people, you learn a lot from people. So actually, in terms of the compensation or the culture or anything, FAANG companies definitely holds a lot of relevance over the other companies. And we have one of the person who's with us today, who's been working with a FAANG company. He's been wearing the t-shirt of that FAANG company as well. It's called Microsoft. So it's good to have you, Kushal. How are you?
I'm great, and I hope like whatever I'll share today is going to help the students.
Definitely. And so for all of you who would like to know more about Kushal Vijay, he's been working as a software engineer with Microsoft. So Kushal, on this episode, we would like you to share your journey. So starting with the first question, we would like to know that what does a normal day of a Microsoft employee looks like, and what do they do generally in a day's time?
Sure. So when I was a student, I had a lot of myths about software engineering, but when I joined as a software engineer, those myths got burst, and I realized that whatever a student used to think about a software engineer, daily routine is completely opposite what actually happens. So we don't generally code the whole day. So this is one of the major myths that students used to have. We code very small time, we generally code very small time of the day, and most of the time we spend looking at the code. So when I start my day with reading emails, like what was the progress on my last work items, what are the new work items assigned to me, what are the meetings I have in the coming week or whatsoever. Apart from that, we also brainstorm about things like whatever new features we are going to build or whatever problems we are facing. So we brainstorm upon them to figure out to drive action items for our next sprint or next month, so on and so forth. And it's not like that I am busy with meetings or writing code or looking at the code the whole day. There are a lot of free time available. Obviously, you cannot spend looking at the screen the whole day. You go for lunch, you go for playing some games in between the day. You spend some time with your friends or colleagues, talking about random things. So this is somewhat a small, a brief about how a day in the life of software engineer look like. The main key takeaways from it would be, I got to interact with a lot of people on daily basis, the senior engineers, the program managers, and interacting with people from different domains helps you to increase your perspective about things. You got to learn a lot new things, because each day you will be exploring a different code base. So the best part about working at a big FAANG company is that you generally don't have to understand to be honest, you cannot understand the end-to-end product, because if I will give you a small instance, Windows operating system, the number of lines of code with which it is written is 50 million. You cannot read that code probably in your whole lifetime as well, right? So you generally work on a very small section of any product, but every day you got to explore a new section of that particular section of that product only. So that's pretty amazing for a person who want to learn new things and curious about the computer science. So, and that's what software engineering wants you to have, the curiosity and the learning attitude. Yeah, that's all.
Well, you make it sound like a quite interesting profession to be in, especially when it comes to working with Microsoft. So I'm sure you are having a great time working with Microsoft. So Kushal, regarding this profile, like, you work as a software engineer. So what does the career progression looks like in this particular domain, and how do you climb up the ladder?
Okay. So when I joined Microsoft, I joined as an intern. Later, I converted into a PPO. And now as a software engineer, generally the ladder looks like you work as a junior engineer. SD1 is somewhat kind of junior engineer in any company where you are being given work and you're expected to complete that work with due diligence and with proper learning. That is what is expected at this junior level. Now then comes the senior level, which is SD2. There are, the hierarchy varies in company to company. For example, in SD1 we have multiple bands. In Amazon, if you talk about, they don't have band, they just have single SD1 thing, and then later so and so forth. But in Microsoft we have in a single position as well, we have multiple bands. So then comes the SD1. From SD2, the expectation gets more, increases. You expect to derive products from kind of end to end. You are expected to lead a lot of people when you are at SD2 position. You not only do the work that is given to you, but you also create work for the people who are looking forward to you. That is something SD2 do. Then comes the senior engineer position, which is very important for any particular product, because they are responsible to guide the SD1s as well as SD2s. They're basically also called tech leads in some of the companies. And senior engineers are responsible to drive the product from end to end, talking to the PMs or whatever requirements the product will have and how the end product will look like. So they are actually, you can say, the father figure of that particular product. And then comes the manager. So there are two things. When you reach to a particular level as a senior engineer, you have multiple options. You can either explore managerial in your career ahead, or you can still go with the technical side, being a software engineer in your later years of career. For example, people do go for principal engineering, and that is something who are very much interested into technical field. So they continue their career, going ahead and ahead into engineering only, the technical side of engineering, not the managerial side of it. So this is how the career progress in generally in all of the companies. If I talk about Amazon, it goes like SD1, SD2, then they have SD3 as well, and then they have managerial side, software development manager 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. And similar goes with other companies as well, like Google, they have L3, L4, L5, and so forth. So this is how the general trend looks like in most other companies. Yeah.
Okay. And since you
mentioned, and also I should also mention the years of experience that one should ideally take to get to that position. So a senior engineer at Microsoft generally have at least 7 years or 8 years of experience to reach to that position. Yeah.
Okay, so minimum, I guess, the amount of years that are required to reach that level, as you mentioned, is 7 years.
Okay. 7 to 8 years.
And yes, someone exactly. Like if any brilliant mind operates in a better way, so is there any process that they can reach in a much more faster way?
So definitely, I mean, if the person has started their journey from Microsoft, like for example, I started my journey from Microsoft. Eventually, it all depends upon the impact that you're creating and the problems that you're solving. If your performance is amazing, who is going to stop you from getting promoted, right? You're performing up, if you're performing like you are at the next level, then definitely your promotion is very soon or near.
So it's actually the quality of work which matters more than the exactly. The number of years of work.
Exactly, number of years doesn't even matter.
Right. And since you mentioned that you started off as an intern, and we are often we often speak about how interns are made to do different kind of stuff. Sometimes internships are quite boring, sometimes they're quite interesting, sometimes actually internships kind of pave path for actually people so for them to realize that this is something that they want to do. So how was the internship like with Microsoft, and how did you step your foot inside the door? If you can just guide us through that.
Sure. So in 2019, it was the first day of my third year when Microsoft visited our campus, and like we all were very much worried, I would say. That obviously, Microsoft is a big brand, and we were all very nervous that what's going to happen. They had a 3-day hiring drive. At that time, things were offline.
Okay.
And trust me, when things were offline, things were 200% difficult because you have to face everything face to face, physically. People can see your expression, people can see what's happening, your body language, and everything. And that's where the difficult part comes. So, as I mentioned, that was a 3-day process which started with the online test. So, we had an online test at our campus. Around 200 students were there who sit for that particular online test. And the online test obviously comprises of 3 questions from different DS topics like dynamic programming, string algorithms, and one was general mathematics question. It's in my case, other people got matrix related questions, string related, or some graph related questions. So after that online test, we had a group fly round. So Microsoft has this amazing round called group fly round where they ask the students to write answers to the questions given to them. So around 39 students got qualified for that group fly round, and we were given 2 questions. So we were given 1 hour, and out of which 2 questions were like, first question was the general algorithmic based DSU question. Second was a system design question. Now for a student who just came out of their second year, they are being given a system design question. Just imagine what is the thought process going behind the recruiters or the engineers, what they actually wanted from students. You cannot code a system when you're out of your second year, right? So they were expecting, something different. Yeah. And the major criteria to qualify that round was that system design question only, because the first question was somewhat easy. If you have already done it, you could have cracked it in 4 minutes or 5 minutes. That's what I did because I've already done that question. Later, the second question was a system design question, and they wanted us to, and they also explicitly mentioned in between the process that they don't want the code. They don't want any implementation, because the question was somewhat related to a search engine. So the first thing that comes to anybody's mind would be a try data structure, implementing some search algorithm or something. So they explicitly mentioned they don't want any kind of implementation. And they didn't want any implementation. They actually want us to think about the problem, what assumptions we can take, what constraint we can think about, what problems we can think about, and what solution we can propose. So they actually wanted to understand our thought process, how clearly we are able to explain our thought process, what constraint we can think about, what solutions we can think about, and how, in technical terms, how we can design that system, what assumptions we can, what components we are able to design. That is what their expectation was. And that was a really amazing round, to be honest. And I actually learned a lot during the whole process, during the whole 50 minutes that I spent on that question. And the story didn't end here, because that particular question was being asked to explain in 2 of my later interviews.
Okay.
And that exactly. So it's not like Microsoft leave you for doing whatever you did in your previous round, but they do want to learn what you actually did in your previous round. What was your thought process? Each and every individual who will be taking on later interviews is very much interested in what you did in your previous interviews, because they write everything. They make a complete proper write-up. What was your performance? Where you lagged? Did you improve? Because the process was 3-day hiring drive. When you solve something, you go at home, you actually realize you could have done it better. So, this is what I think. These are my views. They would be thinking in the similar manner, that next day we'll ask the same question to that person. Is there any change? Yeah. Is there anything he studied or went through at home? So this is what I think. Then later we had technical interviews. Some of these folks had 3 technical interviews. I then personally had 2 technical interviews, and then the HR round. And those technical interviews were comprising of DSA questions, and obviously that system design related question, general terminology related to system design like scalability, horizontal scalability related questions, and that's all. Both the technical interviews was comprises of these, and then there was general puzzle kind of questions for me also. In the second technical interview, there were also the interview also asked me to design the test cases and also asked me multiple approaches for the same question. So that is what interviewers generally don't get satisfied with one approach, but they actually want multiple approaches. So student, just make sure whenever you learn any question or do any question, make sure you do multiple approaches of that. Then finally, I had the HR or hiring manager round, in which I have been asked behavioral question as well as technical question, and it lasted for around 25-30 minutes. And later, like, I got to know that I got the internship. 6 of us got the internship out of 200 that who sat for that online test.
Okay, so this was basically a campus placement?
Exactly. Campus internship. Then during the internship, after the internship, we were asked to give exit interviews. I had 2 exit interviews, one technical, like actually both were technical. So we had exit interviews, and based on the performance feedback and the interviews, we were given the full-time offer.
Okay. And you mentioned that there were like a lot of technical rounds that happened, and a lot of brainstorming that you guys were required to do for Microsoft. Yes. Is there anything like when it comes to the personality that Microsoft sees, like, like what can be a, cultural fit for them? So is there anything that they see in a particular candidate?
So by the time when we were having the, interview rounds or group fly round, we generally, a second year student don't generally know what the work culture or, cultural fit thing, how does that work, right? Generally, second year student doesn't know, or there was not very much awareness back then in 2019. So what I think today is they would be looking at the communication skills, how the student is presenting their thoughts, or are they even able to express? Are they even able to, convince or make others understand what they are thinking? Second is, are they even trying? The learning attitude, because for an engineer, that is the most important skill. Because trust me on this, if whatever you're learning, web development, Android development, machine learning, whenever you join a good company, the technologies you'll be using or the things you'll be working on will be completely different that what you have done in your college. This is the scenario in most of the cases, because big companies generally have their internal tools and internal stuff to develop things, which is proprietary and not available outside. So this is a scenario. Third would be, second is learning and trying, and third would be obviously the student should be interested in for whatever things they have applied, right? Yeah. So there should be a sense of curiosity. There should be energy. So I will explicitly mention this during one of my interviews. Before one of my interviews, the HR came to me and actually appreciated me for the for the kind of energy that I was having during the whole process. So that is something I feel is an indirect impact that you can create without even doing anything. You just have to be positive and have the energy. Obviously, you should be vibrant. You should show the interest that you actually want to join the company, or you're curious what the company works on or what their general products are, and you should obviously know about some things about the company. So these are 3 things I feel: the learning attitude, the communication skills, and the energy and the passion or the interest for the domain.
Okay. And like in today's day and age, job search has become like one of the most important thing, like especially during the pandemic, people were clueless, and LinkedIn came at disposal of many people, and other platforms as well have picked up, but LinkedIn in particular has generated and garnered a lot of attention of people, and people have now started focusing on LinkedIn specifically. So do you have like any particular like LinkedIn tips or networking tips or any kind of interview tips that the young aspirants can probably learn from, especially when they are applying for FAANG companies?
Sure. So one thing I would like to mention here is today only I made a post on LinkedIn regarding 5 quick hacks that one can follow to get more job opportunities. So folks, you can check that as well. But I'll quickly summarize a few things. Yeah, I'll quickly give a few of the tips that will definitely help to land you more opportunities on LinkedIn. First of all, obviously you need to build or add everything to your profile that you have. So LinkedIn has this feature of all-star profile. So you should make sure you have that all-star done. All the skills added, experiences added, everything is done. Now in experience section, most of the students do is they don't mention anything. They just mention the duration and the position of that particular internship. You actually have to add things there, whatever your achievements were, whatever your learnings were, and what work you did during that experience. So the chat, why this is helpful. For example, if a recruiter lands your profile, they see, okay, he or she is a software engineering intern, but what they did, did they just went to the office and come back for the 3 months? They want to know what you did, right? And this also helps in SEO. Whenever a recruiter searches this generally search on the basis of skills, not the name. Recruiters don't know you, they know the skill, right? They know the JD. So based on the skill, if your profile is being ranked above, then definitely they'll reach out. So this is the second thing. Third is LinkedIn enforces a restriction of 30,000 connections. Now there are recruiters generally have a lot of connections. They cannot accept everyone's request. Even the hiring managers nowadays have a lot of connections. So what you can do is while sending a request from the web client, you can send it with add to note. Now, what does the add to note give? What advantage it gives? Even if the other person don't want to accept your request, they can reply to your message and they can continue the conversation without even accepting your request. This will definitely help. The person can talk to you and they don't even have to accept your connection request. Now, what you have to send while sending the add to note or connection request, obviously, if you're reaching out to someone, if you're connecting with someone, there should be a reason. It's not Facebook, right? You do not connect with people just to increase your number of followers or number of connections. You reach out to people because you think today or maybe in the future you will require some help from them. So, for example, you reach out to a hiring manager or a recruiter. You should ideally share your resume and with the job ID, and make sure you're sharing a link to that resume, because nobody's free or nobody's computer storage, it's free to download your resume PDF. Job ID is very necessary. Don't go to people and ask them, do you have a role open in your company? There are hundreds and thousands of openings in their career portal, and they're not free enough to go and check it for you. Ideally, one who's asking for help should do this due diligence. Then comes the one more tip I would like to give is be active on LinkedIn. Make connections, interact with other people's posts. There are so many amazing people who are sharing content on LinkedIn, and you should interact with their post at least. Share your insight. What are your views on whatever they have written? So this will obviously help LinkedIn algorithm to identify that you actually exist. Then finally would be, if you're looking for a job, obviously LinkedIn job section is one of the amazing places where you can find opportunities. Other would be reaching out to recruiters, but more than recruiters, you should try reaching out hiring managers. LinkedIn search is very powerful. You can write whatever you want and it will give you the best relevant result to that search. Reach out to hiring managers, write the proper contextual message, and you might get your next opportunity pretty much sooner. Yeah.
Great. And this was about LinkedIn and the interview part, but lastly, it's a kind of a FAANG tradition. So any like 3 generic tips that you would like to share for any job seeker that is out there who would like to venture out in any of the FAANG companies?
Sure. So one thing that I personally follow and ask everyone to follow is there's a saying that consistency can beat luck, hard work, or everything, or any kind of intentions as well. Do whatever you want. Consistent practice and consistency can get you better at any of the skills, even at your worst skill. So just keep on doing whatever you're doing, DSA, project work, or learning core subjects. If not today, if not tomorrow, but there will be someday that you will land whatever you wanted to. And you know hard work, obviously everyone say hard work, hard work, and nobody actually mentions the luck part of it. But trust me, hard work will put you at a place where luck will find you. So keep on doing whatever you're doing, hard work and with consistency, you will actually reach to a point where you will start, things will start to fall in place. And final would be, it's okay if you're slow, it's not okay if you're stagnant. So even if you're progressing very slowly, that's completely okay. Even I progress very slowly at sometimes. Even, big people like Bill Gates or most successful people in the world do progress very slowly during some point of their time, of their life. But now it's not a race, right? It's a process and you should enjoy it. Obviously, there will be disappointments, barriers, but you should start celebrating a small success, and you should not measure your own success with others' scale of success. You'll be more happy if you follow that, and life will be more meaningful. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this was Kushal Vijay. He looks young, but definitely he has a lot to share and is really insightful. It was lovely talking to you, Kushal. Any last bidding words for us? How was your experience with us? If you would like to share anything that you would like to recommend to any of the aspirants, like how they can reach you out, or anything that you would like to say. How was your overall experience? We would just like to know that.
I felt really great sharing my experience. I generally share a lot of content over different platforms, so folks can follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. I already have a YouTube channel. I also like FAANGPath is related to Nikita. I have been I interacted with Nikita quite a few times. We also did a podcast on our channel, and she has shared a lot of amazing resources with me, which are all publicly available on FAANGPath. So make sure you folks check out that platform because it's going to help anyways. And thanks for inviting me. I really enjoyed. Thanks for being an amazing host, Abhinav. Really appreciate that.
Well, the pleasure is all ours, Kushal. Thank you. And guys, please follow all the social media handles that Kushal has, because as I mentioned that he might look young, but he's definitely a lot more insightful, and he definitely has a great pool of knowledge. So it's better that we utilize that pool of knowledge. So this was it from our side. And yeah, keep on following FAANGPath and keep on following Kushal Vijay as well.